Yeah, no pressure from York knowing it's his favourite childhood plane now. Thanks.
My
So
type,
yeah, the Dornier 31, jet-powered vertical takeoff and landing experimental military aircraft, as York alluded to, only 3 ever made, 2 of which were airworthy, and only 1 of those was actually VTOL capable in the end. The other had its lift engines completely removed, so it's only conventional flight. But yeah, it holds the distinction of being aviation history's only jet-powered VTOL utility and transport aircraft ever created. First flying in February 1967, formed a number of experimental and public demonstration flights before the program was cancelled for various reasons. But yeah, really, really unique looking aircraft. Basically uses brute force and ignorance to get into the air. Very little kind of aerodynamic stability on this thing, which was a challenge in itself for the development team, who absolutely hate me now with the amount of questions and can we just do this on it? But yeah, so the massive Rolls-Royce Pegasus engines underneath the wings, and then hidden away in the wingtips here, these 4 Rolls-Royce again kind of vertical lift engines. So a total of 10 going on behind the scenes there. If we have a look inside, then, so as I said, it was designed as a transport aircraft, so plenty of space in the cargo area for passengers and what have you. It did actually have quite a limited payload capacity in the end, which is one of the reasons it was cancelled. But it was going in the right direction, certainly for the experiments it was carrying out. If we come forward now into the kind of forward flight deck area, you see a huge amount of racks of avionics equipment and different computers here. I'll talk about this in a little bit more detail in a second, but they basically created their own supercomputer to help with the stability issues that they were having to start with. Moving forward into the actual flight deck, 2-person flight deck here, and you definitely needed 2 people to fly this thing. Just look at the number of thrust levers and stuff you got going on there. It was purely the co-pilot's responsibility to adjust all those levers, especially in vertical flight lift. Something which again was a bit of a challenge for us to try and get into the simulator, but hopefully we've got it nailed and made it accessible to everyone. So I'm going to cheat a little bit here and get the engines started going up in sequence, so you can see the sequence starting to go there on the lift engines. So talking a bit more about the engines, like I said, the Rolls-Royce Pegasus turbofan engines with the vectored thrust, the same ones you get to see on the Harrier. These were the very early versions of that, though, so the pre-production variants. It wasn't even in the Harrier at this point, I don't think. Plus the 4, 8 in total, 4 on each wing, Rolls-Royce turbojet vertical lift engines, giving an aggregate thrust of around 66,000 pounds. So, like I said, brute force to get this thing into the air, pretty much. Only a handful of aircraft had a total of 10 or more engines kind of used. Another one was the Dornier X again. So Dornier kind of, known for these excessive amount of engines on aircraft. As I said, it's got its own kind of supercomputer going on here. The 2-person flight deck plus the supercomputer is what made this thing fly, really. So in all its flight regimes, the hybrid kind of analog and digital computer known as the DO960 what enabled it to be have its precise control in hover flight. Also, auto trim system was redesigned for this to transition into conventional modes as well. And like I said, it definitely needed both pilots to operate this thing. You can't fly this single pilot, and it's something we've had to manage in terms of systems integration. So I urge people to read the manual for sure when you try and fly this thing. It's not the Harrier. You can't just get in, vector the thrust, and off you go. You've got to kind of know what you're trying to achieve with this thing. So if we go kind of outside, I'm going to try not to show myself up and demonstrate the vertical lift on this thing. So all the engines are kind of running now through that auto start sequence. The lift engines are spooled up. And I did forget one thing. Stability system to turn it on. Let's flick that. Well, there's 3 levels of stability, but you definitely need that one, like I say, to help fly it. And what it's basically simulating is the co-pilot for us, controlling the thrust and nozzle levers, and then transitioning to the forward flight. So here we go, trying to attempt to get it into the air as the thrust spools up. So the nozzles go down to their full 90 degrees. Bit of a wobble on the SAS as it gets airborne, but up we go. And then the transition to forward flight, basically commanded by the co-pilot there, and the nozzle will start to come back as well. Once we get a bit of forward speed going, gear can come up.
Never seen anything like that.
And there we go, off we go. And once it's up and airborne, it's actually very stable and quite nippy as well, going up to kind of 250, 300 knots in full forward flight. So as you kind of fully develop into the conventional flight, lift engines can go away. And there we go, airborne over Friedrichshafen.
One question we could just get from chat: will there be a PDF manual available for this local legend on day one?
100%, yeah. So it's included as part of the package, and for Xbox users, we'll obviously put it online as well.
Awesome. Sounds like everyone's gonna need to read
Michael.
that.
Childhood dream, man. Yoo-hoo!
Yeah.
There we go.
It's awesome.
Fantastic.
So cool.
Very, very cool plane. Thank you, Michael,
Take
for
that,
joining
Buckwater.
us. For showing us his plane. Very appreciative. And we can't wait to see this. Local Legend 15. Did I get that right? Oh.
Yep.
All right. We are now going to move on to our Q&A session